In Ecuador, the National Electoral Council indicated that if the current trend in the vote count continues, the presidential candidates Luisa Gonzalez and Daniel Noboa will face each other in a second electoral round on April 13. The United Nations assured that it is possible to rebuild about 70% of the Gaza Strip within a period of 5 to 10 years without displacing its population. The Namibian government decreed that all other flags should fly at half-mast from Monday as Namibia enters a period of national mourning over the death of founding President Sam Nujoma. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Ecuador, the National Electoral Council indicated that if the current trend in the vote count continues, the presidential candidates Luisa Gonzalez and Daniel Noboa will face each other in a second electoral round. With over 90% of the votes counted, both candidates will dispute the presidency of the country on April 13th. Current President Daniel Noboa accumulates over 44.31% of the votes, followed very closely by Luisa Gonzalez with more than 43.83% of the ballots. It should be noted that in order to be elected to the Ecuadorian presidency in a single round, a candidate must obtain 50% of the votes plus one, or total 40% with a difference of 10 points over the second place. Director of the National Electoral Council, Diana Atamain, pointed out at the closing of the polls that the day passed normally and with a projected turnout of more than 83%. And Luisa Gonzalez, the presidential candidate for the Citizens Revolution Party, addressed her supporters minutes after the National Council's pronouncement, expressing her gratitude to the Ecuadorian people.
We have broken the historical voting of the citizen revolution of the last 10 years. That is to say, we as a political organization that also gathers the feeling of a people that has been forgotten, we have felt that value, that affection and that hope of the people in the response at the polls, thanks to the Ecuadorians, thanks to my people, thanks to my homeland, thanks to Ecuador, because this triumph is yours.
An Ecuadorian indigenous leader, Leonidas Issa, denounced on Sunday irregularities regarding the National Electoral Council during the presidential elections. Issa accused the National Electoral Council of being biased and warned of the lack of equality in the electoral process. In addition, he criticized the expenditure of over $130 million by the government of Daniel Noboa in this process. After being interrupted by members of the armed forces, Issa expressed his disagreement with the military disruption and affirmed that the government was influencing the electoral boards. The president and candidate for re-election, Daniel Noboa, suspended the event he had planned due to the adverse results. Noboa and his campaign team had prepared for this Sunday night an appearance in front of his supporters in a hotel in Quito, but the convocation was cancelled. Noboa did not make any statements during the whole electoral day and was only seen when he went to vote very early in the morning. In social media, they reproached the president's attitude and accused him of lacking character and leadership. Let's review who are the favorite candidates in the February 9th presidential election. Luisa Gonzalez, candidate of the Citizens Revolution Party. Gonzalez is a 47-year-old lawyer and former assemblywoman who has 2 master's degrees, one in senior management from the Instituto de Altos Estudios Nacionales and another in international economics from the Complutense University of Madrid. As a member of the Citizen Revolution movement, she participated in the early elections of 2023. Her government plan focuses on 5 axes: justice for good living, security and order, economic well-being with equal opportunities, the fight against corruption, and ecological justice and energy transition for a clean and sustainable future. Gonzalez has expressed her commitment to the real needs of the people, vowing to generate decent employment and guarantee access to health, education, as well as giving out scholarships and credits aimed at activating youth entrepreneurs. If Gonzalez is elected, she will become the first woman president of Ecuador representing progressive, social, and leftist forces. And the current president of Ecuador, Daniel Noboa, is betting that his promises to push forward crime-fighting initiatives started during his first administration and to address energy shortages will ensure his re-election. Candidate for the National Democratic Action Party, Daniel Noboa Sin, is the son of billionaire Álvaro Noboa Pontón. During his term in office, he has used presidential decrees to militarize the streets and facilitate security of businessmen in ports. His administration has been marked by a multi-dimensional crisis in the political sphere, but also bringing about economic recession, high levels of insecurity, and energy deficit. He opts for re-election with a participation in polls characterized by the violation of constitutional statutes and the lack of compliance with electoral regulations. Furthermore, in a desperate measure, Noboa militarized the northern and southern borders in the middle of the electoral campaign under the pretext of fighting armed groups. Now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back. The United Nations assured that it is possible to rebuild about 70% of the Gaza Strip within a period of 5 to 10 years without displacing its population. The international body estimated the cost of the reconstruction would be around $60 billion. In the context, the Palestinian Central Council reaffirmed its commitment to Palestinian national unity at all levels and rejected the conspiracies aimed at destroying the Palestinian cause and its rights. Meanwhile, in the United States, President Donald Trump reiterated his controversial proposal to take control over the Gaza Strip. Several voices reject the violation of Palestinian sovereignty and ethnic cleansing plans. The U.S. President said that Gaza should be considered a great real estate site and that other Middle Eastern countries could take charge of rebuilding the war-torn enclave. He also described the war-torn territory as a place of demolition, assuring that his administration will be committed to owning it to prevent actions by Hamas. Trump also claimed that displaced Palestinians prefer not to return to Gaza, sparking outrage from much of the international community.
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices, but we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place is a demolition site. It'll be, the remainder will be demolished. Everything's demolished. I mean, you can't live in those buildings right now. They're very unsafe.
And north of the West Bank, Israeli occupation forces have intensified their operations in the Nur Shams refugee camp east of Tulkarem, setting up a tight blockade and conducting raids and home searches. This military incursion, which has led to increased tensions in the region, has forced the evacuation of residents and their homes, being transformed into military posts. Israeli troops have used live ammunition against civilians. 2 women, one of them pregnant, are reported dead, and several people have been wounded, many of them youngsters. Israeli troops have also damaged infrastructure, homes, and essential services such as the water supply, further aggravating the humanitarian situation in the camp. And in the occupied West Bank, over 20,000 Palestinians had been displaced from northern Jenin city as a result of destruction led by Israeli bombings. The governor of Jenin, Mansour al-Sadi, briefed that the occupation forces shattered to pieces the Jenin camp so that over 20,000 Palestinians were forced to leave behind their homes and personal belongings. Al-Sadi described the situation in Jenin as a collective punishment of the refugees, part of the ethnic cleansing. In addition, the deputy of governor urged all international human rights and legal institutions to enter the camp and report the magnitude of Israeli crimes against humanity. And in Iran, citizens celebrate the 46th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution in that country with the emblematic march of the 22nd of Bahman. Demonstration began in several cities of the country at 9 a.m. and the presence of political and military authorities and foreign guests is expected. On the evening of February 9th, Iranians gathered in Azadi Square, Tehran, where a fireworks ceremony was held to commemorate the beginning of the week of the national holiday. Every February 11th, the Iranian people reaffirm their loyalty to the ideals of the Islamic Revolution and numerous mass demonstrations expressing their unity and commitment to the defense and sovereignty of the nation. We have a second short break coming up, but we'll be right back. Don't go away. Before, we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. So hit that subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. Namibia's former president and leader of the country's independence, Sam Nujoma, passed away on the night of Sunday, February 9th at the age of 95. Let's take a look at the most significant events of his life. Former leader, born on May 12, 1929, in the Umusati region. In 1949, Nujoma moved to the capital Windhoek and began to familiarize with the problems of the working class and the situation of the indigenous people. Deprived of all rights by colonialist and racialist administrations, in 1957 he was briefly imprisoned for his decision to fight for the liberation of his country, and in early 1959 he became one of the leaders of the protests led by the National Union of Southwest Africa, a party then recently created and animated by tribal chiefs by the Herero ethnic group. And in 1960, he became the first president of the Southwest African People's Organization, leading the guerrilla fight against the South African occupation and the apartheid policy. In the 1970s, Nujoma combined armed struggles and diplomatic activism, gaining wide international support. In 1990, Nujoma became Namibia's first president and served 3 terms in office. Independence achieved, Sam Nujoma promoted a policy of national reconciliation to leave behind the vestiges of decades of colonialism, racial discrimination, and the demonization of SWAPO. His 15 years of government offer a balance of democratic stability and economic reforms, limited by the constraints of underdevelopment. And the Namibian government decreed a period of national mourning over the death of founding President Sam Nujoma. The late president passed away on Saturday night after being hospitalized for 3 weeks due to health problems. Deputy Minister of Information and Technology, Modestus Amutse, issued a statement Sunday night announcing the start of the mourning period from February 9, 2025 until further notice. All flags are to fly at half-mast throughout the country and at Namibian embassies around the world. Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia on Saturday disconnected the electrical systems from the grid, linking them to Russia 30 years after the disintegration of the Soviet Union. The Baltic countries' electricity systems operated autonomously on Saturday to then be connected to the common European grid through Poland. This Sunday, Lithuania President Gitanas Nausėda said goodbye Russia, goodbye Lenin in front of EU President Ursula von der Leyen and the presidents of Latvia, Estonia and Poland. Experts say that the consequences of this step led to uncertainty as Europe invests in renewable energies such as wind power. also stated the supply may be intermittent and may increase or decrease depending on the weather. In China, rescue operations are underway Sunday following a landslide on Saturday that killed one person in the southwestern province of Sichuan. The incident occurred in Jinping village, located in Julian district of Jibin City at 11:50 local time on Saturday, resulting in the death of one person, at least 28 missing and 2 injured. More than 949 emergency police and National Guard personnel have been mobilized, among others, as well as more than 200 pieces of rescue equipment, including fire trucks, excavators, medicine, and 360-degree radars have also been supplied to carry out rescue tasks. So far, 90 households with 360 residents have been evacuated to a safe area. And forest fires in southern Argentina devour more than 36,000 hectares in several towns and 2 national parks in the provinces of Chubut, Rio Negro, and Neuquén. According to official sources, the concentration of these fires represents a serious threat to the country's biodiversity and ecosystem. The situation has mainly affected the Lenin National Park in Neuquén, where more than 15,000 hectares have been burned. And despite intense firefighting efforts by the authorities, the fire is still active. Likewise, the provinces of Neuquén and Rio Negro have also suffered serious damage since the fire has consumed around 10,300 hectares in the areas of Los Manzanos and El Manso since the end of December. And Chilean authorities maintain the state of emergency decree due to wildfires, as some 2,500 hectares have burned down in the south of the nation. Local officials report that around 15 fire outbreaks remain active, which have been fueled by high temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius. They further warned that forecasts estimated extreme temperatures will reach record numbers from Sunday through Monday, being the most critical days. The state of emergency decree is in force in central and southern regions of the country, and the measure includes curfews to allow authorities to deal with possible criminal acts. In this regard, the government assured that any person involved in setting the fires will be brought to justice and will be sentenced to 20 years in prison. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.